everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I really hope you are all doing well. Today's video I'm going to show you exactly how I prepare and freeze my vegetables. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is threefold. So the first reason is I want to make sure my son eats vegetables. He's going through a phase at the moment where he's not interested in vegetables at all. So I need to find a way of making sure that I incorporate them in all of his meals and hide them without him noticing. The second reason being, I bought all these vegetables and I want us to eat them. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be eating them. And the third one, which is I want to reduce the amount of food that I waste. So I've decided that this year that I want to make sure that everything that I buy, I use. So that includes all the vegetables. And the way that I can think of doing that is making sure I freeze as much as possible so that I can use them just as I need them. So I've already done my food shopping, and I'm hoping that you would have watched my Lidl haul, which shows you exactly what I bought from Lidl, because we love a little bit of Lidl. And so without further ado, let's just get straight into it. We're just going to go through all the ingredients, how I actually freeze these vegetables. So if you are new, make sure to hit that like button and to subscribe. I'm not going to take any more of your time. Let's just get straight into the video, right? Let's do it.
So this is what I had. I had some sweet potato, some onions, some spinach, carrots, tomatoes, and peppers. So we're going to start off with the peppers. I like to wash them and make sure that I've removed every bit that doesn't need to be in it. Then I just like to go ahead and slice them. So what I mainly use peppers for is pretty much every meal, but I usually use them in two ways. I either have them sliced or I have them diced. So I go ahead and I dice half of them and I slice half of them, and then I go ahead and put them straight in a bag. This way they're easy for me to go ahead and reach whenever I need them, and I've got two varieties of peppers that I can use in whatever type of cooking dish that I'm making. So that's how I go ahead and do the peppers. Give the carrots a good wash. Then I'm going to need a knife, a grater and a peeler. I'm going to go ahead and start by chopping off both ends of the carrot, and then just giving the carrot a good peel, taking off the skin. And then I'm going to show you exactly how I am going to freeze or prep these vegetables ready to be frozen. So go ahead and give all your carrots a good peel. Let me know in the comments below, do you peel your carrots or do you just use them with the skin itself? Let me know in the comments below. So for the first style for the carrots, I'm going to make my homemade carrot sticks that hopefully we should be having as a snack in the afternoon or during the day with a little bit of hummus or just on their own. So I'm trying my hardest to make sure that my son has a fruit or vegetable with every single meal. And this is just one way that he can have some carrots. The other option is to grate them. Now, I typically, when I grate them, will use them in all of my cooking dishes. So I tend to add them to pretty much every single dish that I make, and it's a great way. Once you've grated them, it kind of integrates with every dish that you're making, so it's not so visible for him to see it. So I just go ahead and grate as many as possible, and then I just go ahead and put them in my bag, ready to go straight into the freezer. And that's the way that I do my carrots. Now for the onions, I love onions, and in particular I love red onions. So I like to make sure that I've got red onions ready for me to cook with every time I'm cooking. So I'll just go ahead and I will just dice those up. It's the simplest task. Just make sure that you take a breather, because after I did all this cutting I started crying because I cut so many onions. It was unbelievable, but it just makes life so much easier, especially if you're trying to make something and they're just right there. Now tomatoes I tend to use only for stews. I don't particularly like raw tomatoes. It's just one of those weird things that I have, but I do love cooking with fresh tomatoes and making my own sauces, especially for pasta sauces. So what I do is I go ahead and I just chop them up into rough pieces and I put them straight into the freezer in portion sizes, and that way whenever I need to make a pasta sauce I can just go straight from the freezer into the blender and I can just start cooking it straight away. So that's all I do. It's very simple, very easy. So just go ahead and wrap it up in portion sizes that you're happy with. Now, our next staple for this week is spinach. Now, spinach is one of those things that my son isn't particularly fond of, but I absolutely love. Spinach is great. So what I like to do is just go ahead and give it a couple of rough cuts, just because I know that when it wilts, I cook it, it will reduce in size. Now, I want it to reduce as much as possible, so I make sure that I cut it so that whenever I incorporate it in my cooking, then my son cannot pick them out. This is just a nice way to make sure that we've got spinach in the dish that I'm preparing, and that my son has no option but to eat it because it's in there and he can't pick them out individually. So go ahead and pack those in individual sizes that you are happy with, and you are ready to go. Now, the next thing we have is sweet potato. Now, I always find that if I don't prep these sweet potatoes, we're not going to eat them. So what I like to do is use my sweet potato for making sweet potato mash, or for making sweet potato soup, or my favourite, roasted sweet potatoes. Now, for all recipes, you'll need the sweet potato to be diced, so I go ahead and I just start by dicing all of them. I make sure I take out the ends, and then I just go ahead and give them a dice in different sizes. It doesn't have to necessarily be completely exactly the same, they just have to be roughly cut. And then I go ahead and I put them in individual portion sizes again. That way when I take them out of the freezer, they are ready to go. And what I also like about this is that actually you can cook them straight from frozen, just spice them up, give them a bit of oil, and they're ready to go, especially if you're making roasted sweet potatoes, my favorite. And there you have it. You have all your vegetables all prepped and ready to be stored away in whatever style that you have. So I am going to split some of these into individual packets, but for the most part, most of them can stay in the sizes that they're in. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please make sure to hit that like button. Until the next video, take care. Bye!